Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Again, got to keep the intro short, but to set up the video a little bit, I got to plug one or two things. First off, this is another blind resume video. I'm sure you could tell by the title and the thumbnail. That's what this is about. Number two, we have the Big Dogs rookie draft guide fully dropped. There are still a few like athletic profiles that we got to finish writing up because the pro days are just a mess. And like half the guys have their numbers officially put in, and the other half are like Chuba Hubbard, who said that they ran a 4.3, actually ran a 4.5, probably ran a 5.0. Who really knows? But if you want to buy that, go to bdge.store. You can purchase it there. Greatly appreciate if you do. We got like 45, 50. I don't know how many exactly. We got a whole lot of rookie write-ups. We got a lot of individual player videos, the hype videos I've been putting on the channel and on Twitter. You can get them there as well. It's pretty clean how Nick and the guy who helped develop the website set them up there. And then there will also be exclusive articles talking about late round targets, whether it's wide receivers or running backs, some fake models that I used last year that ended up hitting on guys, or I guess kind of hitting on guys like Gabe Davis later on in your rookie drafts. I think Mike is doing the Bible. Got a whole lot of shit there. I'm not going to make this a whole like shill plug, but I'll link it down below if you haven't purchased it already and you are interested in it. If not, I appreciate just watching the videos and the support anyway. So without further ado, let's hit the intro. First up, we always start with the age. Player A is 22 years old. Player B is 24 years old. Both receivers, both relatively young. Obviously, A being 22 means he's 2 years younger than player B. That's just how numbers work. I didn't make the rules. I think like Fibonacci or Isaac Newton did. But either way, both guys are extremely young. Both guys have been decent to this point of their career, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Number two, both players were second round picks in the year that they were drafted, and both players remain with the team that ended up drafting them. Obviously, a lot of second round picks don't necessarily pan out. I think JJ Arcega-Whiteside was a second round pick, and he's still on the team that drafted him. Hint, hint, this is not JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I wouldn't waste your time with that. But it does show that they were picked with high draft capital. They've stuck around on their teams, and that combined with the production they've shown to this point leads me to believe that the team still likes them. The team wants to utilize them, and they have utility in this offense going forward, which is what you want to project and predict for dynasty value. Number three, talking about their profiles heading into the league. Now, I don't like covering like college profiles once a player's been in the league for 3 or 4 years. And player B, this will be his fourth year in the league. So I don't weigh like breakout age and college dominator and all that shit too heavily, because at some point that doesn't matter. Like at some point, Christian Kirk is a bum, but just bringing it up. But player A's breakout age clocked in at the 67th percentile, whereas player B was at the 65th percentile. So they were extremely similar when it came to college production, not raw numbers, but hitting that threshold of a 20% dominator rating at young ages. And there's also no clean way for me to put the athleticism into here, but I'll just tell you right now that not only were they good analytically, but athletically as well. They both had great size adjusted speed. They both have a good frame to them, and they have shown that they can utilize both parts of that game, being good at football and using their frame in the NFL to this point. And talking about what happened last season, player A, despite being only 22 years old, had 97 opportunities. So we're adding up targets and rushes. That could be a little bit of a hint, but he had 97 opportunities last year, whereas player B only had 93 opportunities, targets plus rushes. And further expanding on the type of play style that they have, player A was actually third in the NFL amongst all wide receivers when it came to yards after contact. So very good after the catch, good at breaking tackles, and good at breaking loose after the tackle. And player B ranked third among all wide receivers when it came to deep targets. This tells you that player A is much more of a yak guy, much more of a short yardage guy who can pick up chunk yardage after the catch, whereas player B is more of a deep target, maybe a little bit more reliant on the accuracy of his quarterback, but has definitely shown throughout his career he can produce despite being a somewhat one-dimensional type of player. And finally, their fantasy finishes last year. Player A was slightly worse than player B on a point per game basis among wide receivers who played at least 10 games, because I don't want to add like Deshaun Jackson and other bums into the list. Player A ended up ranking as the 43rd best receiver, and best is kind of a terrible use of words there because 43 isn't good, but he finished 43rd among all wide receivers, whereas player B finished 37th. Neither of them were very good, but I think some of that can be rationalized away when I talk about who they are and I give you my opinion as to who I would rather have. Without further ado, let's reveal the players. Put in the comments right now this little 5-second interlude. Pause the video, tell me who you think it is, and then we'll get into it right now. Okay, so player A, the 22-year-old Yak God, goes by the name of Laviska Chenault Jr., and player B goes by the name of DJ Chark. I purposely chose two players on the same team because one, I remember earlier in the offseason, somebody made the suggestion that I should do like Debo Samuel versus Ayuk, T. Higgins versus Tyler Boyd, all that type of stuff. I feel like this is one of the closer ones that you can actually get when it came to age, when it came to production, when it came to situation. Obviously, they're on the same team. And prior to doing this, I was looking at my rankings and I had Chark a good bit ahead of Visca. It was probably like 6 or 7 spots. I think Chark was like early 30s and Laviska Shenault was somewhere around wide receiver 40. But then I thought about the whole situation. Then I thought about what they did in the offseason, right? Jacksonville brought in Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones is older, but Marvin Jones occupies a very similar quadrant or portion of the field as a guy like DJ Chark. Is he going to push DJ Chark out of the lineup and make DJ Chark irrelevant? No, not at all. And I'm not even sure how long the deal is. Let me do a little fact checking just so I'm not speaking out of my ass. Okay, so Marvin Jones is signed for 2 more years, whereas DJ Chark only has 1 year left on his rookie deal. I would assume that they want to bring him back over Marvin Jones because having a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver that's a field stretcher, I feel like reinvesting in a guy who's going to be 25 when his contract expires probably be smarter to go with DJ Chark long term. We'll see what ends up happening, but I do think that addition, it doesn't show a lack of faith in Chark at all. I just think that the caliber of player that Marvin Jones is may hinder what Chark can do this year to a greater extent than what it would hinder Laviska Shenault. I think Marvin Jones is a bigger threat to Chark than it is to Laviska. And just speaking about Laviska, right? This year, he actually had more opportunities than Chark. He did play one more game than Chark, so on a per game basis, it wasn't anything crazy. If we're talking about how much faith the team showed in him, they had Jake Luton, they had Gardner Minshew, they had one other quarterback. Who else played quarterback? Was it like Cody Kessler? I gotta fact check this again because I do not remember who else was slinging absolute ducks in Jacksonville. Wow. How could I forget? Long neck Mike Glennon was also behind center last year. That was a complete shit show. Despite that, they gave Laviska Shenault a whole lot of opportunities. He wasn't incredible, but the fact that he could line up in the backfield, take little slants, take little whatevers, and just break free and show the versatility that he has. Now, Urban Meyer as a coach, who you can draw the comparisons to Percy Harvin, who Urban Meyer coached at Florida, or to Paris Campbell, who he coached at Ohio State, or Curtis Samuel, who he also coached at Ohio State. You can draw those comparisons, and I also will draw those comparisons because they have a very similar play style in the sense that they can run out of the slot, but if need be, they can be used in the backfield or especially in the screen game because they're very good after the catch. Laviska Shenault is fucking brolic. The guy will run through your face and tell you about it. So I do think that he's going to have a massive role in this offense, not only because of Urban Meyer's history, but also his talent. The fact that he put up over 600 yards as a rookie may not sound great, but in comparison to what DJ Chark put up in his rookie year, it was like 147 yards. It was nothing to write home about. So I do think Laviska Shenault definitely has a lot more potential than it may seem based on people's rankings. And if I were to choose one, it would be extremely tough because DJ Chark has obviously shown us higher highs than Laviska Shenault has, but Laviska Shenault's been in the league for only 1 year. And the high he flashed in his rookie year was looking like animal after Bagels and Lock recording. So it's very hard for me to make a definitive statement. But if I were to go off of pure upside, skill, situation fit, potential, which is the same as upside, factoring in age, factoring in my love for a player and the fact that we made a hype video about him last year, I think I would slightly lean Laviska Shenault over DJ Chark because when I'm going for these wide receivers in like the 32, 35 to maybe even wide receiver 40 range, I want a whole lot of upside. And with that upside, I feel like I can capture that much better with a Laviska Shenault. And to me, that just comes down to what I would rather have in my team. Like a guy like Laviska Shenault, he's definitely not as good as him, but I do think that his play style is very close and similar to a guy like AJ Brown, not nearly as refined. I'm not comparing them in terms of who's better right now. It's obviously AJ Brown, but I think I would rather have a guy who is not as quarterback dependent, who can eat up yards after the catch on his own and kind of create for himself, than a guy like DJ Chark, who is a little bit more reliant on the quarterback accuracy. I know he was very good in the 1 year that they had fucking Nick Foles and rookie Gardner Minshew out there. So he does create opportunities for himself by being faster than and better than a lot of cornerbacks that he matches up against. But, with a rookie Trevor Lawrence, we don't know if he's going to be out there slinging as well as he was in Clemson. If he is, then everybody's going to eat. But I can't see a way that Laviska Shenault doesn't get his because he got his last year despite being a rookie. And sure, you can say with Trevor Lawrence, he also fed a guy like Amari Rodgers, who profiles very similar to Laviska Shenault as well. But the year prior, he also had like Justin Ross and T. Higgins, who are much closer to DJ Chark than they are to Laviska Shenault. So I do think it's an extremely close pick. Let me know who you'd rather have in the comments down below. I think all things considered, if I'm shooting for pure upside, I want to go Laviska Shenault, more week to week volatility, a lot higher of a ceiling, a lot higher of a floor, and you are in best ball drafts on Underdog Fantasy. Go for a guy like DJ Chark because those highs are going to be extremely high. Those lows are going to be extremely low. And I would bet Laviska Shenault has a much steadier floor ceiling combo that if you want a steady wide receiver 3, a flex, a second flex, however many guys you start, I feel like he would be a better option for you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I appreciate all the support and all the feedback and all the love you guys show in the comments. So if you want to keep that up and give me a thumbs up or a subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that. If you want to give a thumbs down, go for it, man. I'm too happy right now to feel any sort of way about a thumbs down. But that's all we got. We'll catch you guys sometime soon. Another hype video probably dropping tomorrow. And I'm going to try to live stream again on Friday. So drop by around noon, 1 o'clock Eastern if you're interested in asking a question and you want to hear my terrible, very quick, not thought out answers to them. But that's it. See you sometime soon. Peace.
10 Chatham's on. Foolies glad I'm home. Even my haters kinda glad I'm on. Rest in peace to my vagabond. Rapper, song, singer, suspended, subpoenaed for misdemeanors. Dreamer, held back asses, Loki still a zen. And I still shake a boat squat. Ran for my broke, got city on the come.